Alright, Jacques Lacan is a psychoanalyst inspired by Freud, and he's a complicated guy, but today I'm going to be focusing on his idea of the imaginary and the symbolic. Vultures are an apex predator in the video game Rainworld, and they have some peculiar habits. They ambush basically all other predators from the sky, often stealing food from another's jaws. Now, we know very little about the social hierarchy or unconscious structure of vultures, but with what we do know is all based on the iconic mask that they don. So because of the bio-industrial design of the vultures, you'd be mistaken for thinking that the mask is a part of its body, when it's just like any other mask that you can take on or off. And every healthy vulture has one, so what? It's obviously a stylistic choice, right? Well, the vulture's behavior leads me to believe they're more animalistic than that. When a vulture's mask is knocked off, fellow vultures, regardless of prior knowledge of the maskless vulture, attack it. And the reason is because they think it's not the same entity as before. And all of this is not some learned behavior, but pure instinct. A vulture's mask, not a vulture with a mask, is what Lacan would call an imaginary sign. It's a visual thing of some kind that has no meaning built into its image. Nah, the meaning has to be assigned. So for Lacan, and apparently the vultures, the world as we see it is made up of imaginary signs. And something else within the human mind has to structure meaningless symbols into a language of identification. That thing within the mind is the symbolic, which we're born with. And we can see it in vultures. The mask which signified the entire vulture's existence was knocked off, and because there was no imaginary sign, even though the rest of the vulture is still anatomically there, the other vultures see something that isn't a vulture and unanimously attack it. And because this hostility is universal and animalistic, these vultures require a symbolic order in order to understand that a material thing being displaced symbolizes a threat. So what's so cool about imaginary signs is that they can symbolize different things to different creatures in Rainworld. So if a creature as small as a slugcat puts on a vulture mask, it deters predators 3 times its size from attacking. Same material, 2 significations. That being existence and fellowship and unretaliatable danger. That's because the symbolic is a structure of meaning that stays the same, but the imaginary signs it contextualizes itself through can change. Alright, so take the scavenger tolls. Scavengers are quite intelligent and probably conscious of symbolization. They're quite the resentful capitalists. So these tolls that they assemble arbitrarily around the map of Rainworld are places that they control and allow you to pass through based on a criteria. So keep in mind, this is a video game with no dialogue, purely non-verbal environmental storytelling. So in order to signify it's a toll, they use the antlers of a reindeer, so that's R-A-I-N-D-E-E-R, which is an animal that has nothing to do with a holdup. Now, you can get through under a variety of conditions, but if you have a bad reputation with them, you can bribe your way through with pearls. So because of the reindeer antlers, we know that this is a toll, and because of a pearl, we know we can get through. So it's only because of our own symbolic order that we can represent a conflict and its solution using imaginary things that in themselves tell you nothing. Alright, my brother. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this Lacan explanation, because my 2001 video was kind of lacking a Lacan explanation. I was a little too vague, and I didn't explain the imaginary and the symbolic that well. So it would be a lot easier to watch this before you watch the other one, the 2001. So yeah, subscribe if you want. This is my least unhinged video. I know it's short, but I'm just trying to crank out a video today because didn't have a lot of time.